Hi, and welcome back to I'm Tired as F***. I am Jake Fonder, your host today.
Keep it PG-13, man. PG. We need Disney money.
Shut up and sit down.
People who don't wash their hands after they go to the bathroom get nasty. The Lord is watching.
I want to ride it where I like. I want to ride my bicycle. I want to ride my bike. I want to ride my bicycle. I want to ride it where I like.
Say what? You came back for another Dialed podcast with Matt Lee Grand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von Doring? You the best. We all can use a good Chinese proverb from time to time. So here you go. A man who cannot tolerate small misfortunes can never accomplish great things. Stay strong, my friends.
My bike. I want to ride my bicycle. I want to ride it where I like.
I want to go to the zoo and tickle a gorilla and then punch it in the face.
I want to ride my I want to ride my bicycle. I want to ride my bike. I want to ride my bicycle. I want to ride it where I like.
You got to cuss yourself out every once in a while. What can I say? You know?
Hi, and welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I'm Jake Von Doring, and I'm here with Lance friggin' Hepler.
Lance friggin' Hepler.
Lance friggin'
Good morning, gentlemen.
Gentlemen.
It is-
Gentlemen
it
is a
is morning.
stretch.
Yeah.
It's a stretch.
That is a stretch by far.
Tired man? I don't know.
It is
Yes.
morning. It is morning.
Jake,
Coffee.
you look a little fuzzy.
Yeah, we'll get to that later.
Okay.
To his left, Matt.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys look pretty good for the hour of the day. This is earlier than we usually record. We usually record midday, and it's
It's the crack of 10 a.m.
my watch is on backwards.
It's 10:19.
16:10.
LeGrand.
Yeah.
I held my breath through the whole thing.
Flip that around.
Matt was like on it to get his little intro out of the way there.
I love it.
How you boys doing?
Fantastic.
Yeah?
Something like that. Yeah. We're
Anything
good.
new in the hood?
Yeah, just working. Me slaving away every day
Slaving away.
at the coal mines.
Yes.
You were doing a little bit of
Black
work, though,
lung,
if I
worth it.
remember right. I think I saw something about you doing some,
I was doing some demo.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've been-
slinging the sledgehammer.
Slinging sledgehammer. Actually, this is a sad story. I actually had a tenant die.
Well, you talked about it on the podcast. You talked about how you walked in on the guy and he'd been on the floor for
The same
some
guy?
bit of time.
Like 8 or 10 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And we
man.
called the EMS and they came and got him and took him to the hospital. And then they found a brain tumor and he lasted like
3 months?
3 more months.
Poor
And then
guy.
he passed away. So kind of sad. He's been a tenant of mine for 23 years. He was a tenant. So, it was sad. Of course, it's sad to see him go. It was sad. Anyway,
Is it just me, or is your headphones cutting out there too? Oh,
No,
it's
it's
just
you.
me.
It's,
okay.
that happens to me sometimes. It's like the wire that goes into
Must-
the
must
board.
be the wire.
Switchboard. Yep. Sorry about your tenant, dude.
Yeah. Anyway, so of course his unit needs to be remodeled because it hasn't been touched in 23 years. So
You're a slumlord, dude. 23 years you haven't touched that thing?
he never complained. Matter of fact, if something broke in his place, he fixed it himself.
Really?
He was the
Ideal.
tenant that made me want to get in the real estate game. I'm like, oh, this is easy.
Not for nothing, knowing Lance Hepler, he's probably had the same rental rate for 20 plus years too, or pretty darn close to it.
In 23 years, he's had rental increases twice.
Not bad.
He just was too good of a guy, man. I
Yeah.
just wanted it. I was happy to have him there. So we just, anyway.
Sweet. Anyhow.
Sorry, that was a great
anywho.
story to start the podcast off
You
with.
guys want to talk about stuff and things today?
Yeah, let's talk stuff and things.
Let's talk. Yeah, definitely. Is there a theme? Is there a
Yeah, we got a topic for
we got a
today.
topic? Okay.
Dude, you guys got any side hustles?
Yeah, buy rental properties.
We're just talking about your side hustle, actually.
Did you pay yourself to do that demo?
I did not. I just went in there and tore out carpet and linoleum and.
Can you deduct that labor? Is that a tax thing that you can deduct? or-
Oh, yeah, sure. It just saves me money by not having to pay somebody else to
that
do
too.
it.
So, all right. Well, hey, so there are a lot of people in this day and age that are doing some sort of side hustle just to supplement income. Sometimes it gets a little bit hard out there, or sometimes you want to make a few extra bucks, or you might even have the extra time in your schedule just to, do crazy things like have YouTube channels so you can make a few extra bucks to do God knows what. Maybe that's fueling some trips or vacations. But I was thinking, let's talk about some side hustles that can help us support our cycling and triathlon addictions.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff you can do out there, it turns out, to make a few extra bucks. And what's cool is
Slinging rock on the corner.
that too.
That's what I was going to say.
Lance is out there rolling doobies and, selling them at the corner of
No, I'm not doing that.
some little.
I don't know. You got a new mountain bike to pay for. You
That's right.
got to pay for that thing somehow.
Start a burrito truck. Burrito trucks.
Those make good money.
Yeah,
they?
burrito trucks.
I've been told by a couple different people that in the restaurant industry, if you're slinging beans and rice, that's got
do
one of the
okay.
greatest returns on your investment, and it's a safe profit margin. They generally do pretty well.
That's funny.
Interesting. But anyway, there are a lot of side hustles, and there's a bazillion of things that you can do out there. I kind of wanted to keep it a little bit more centric to the world that we live in. So what are some things that we could do within the...
Slinging EPO.
That too.
There it is. That could work.
It's all I got ideas. They're just popping up. I can't.
I wonder how hard it is to get a hold of EPO to then sell it.
Right.
You know what? I just got back from Mexico.
Oh, yeah, that's
I don't
right.
think it's very hard to get anything down there. As a matter of fact, I sent Lance a picture. It was pretty funny. Like, we were in Playa del Carmen, and we're walking down this. It's called Fifth Avenue, and it's a really cool street. It's pretty long too, and all kinds of fun little shops and whatnot. But it seemed like every 8th or 10th shop, and again, there's a lot of shops, was La Farmacia.
La Farmacia.
Yes.
And then something else.
And
then La Farmacia.
dude, they're not bashful about this at all. There's these yoked out bodybuilders in these
really?
pictures, and they're like, come get your testosterone here. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I'm laughing at that, and I'm like, I got to send this to Lance. He's going to get a kick out of it. And I told my kids, well, hold on a second. I'm going to go get my drugs in here. And they're like, what? And I'm like, to be like these guys. And they're like, oh, what do you know?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that's look at anything.
I mean, I know a
Go
lot
down
of
to
people. They call it the tourist, pharmacy tourism or something like that, where people they travel to Mexico or different countries to get plastic surgery done, or just
Dentistry.
Dentistry. I bet
Yep.
it's probably
Dentistry's
a lot cheaper.
much cheaper in Mexico.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are they any good though?
There's many American trained dentists that have offices just over the border, like just over from Yuma or from not really San Diego, but usually south of Arizona. There's dental offices that are actually decent, but it's a total gamble. You could go to a hack just as easy as you could go to somebody good. Anyway,
Crazy.
That's a side hustle.
that is a side hustle.
Lance?
Mexican dental office.
Yeah. I tried to bring it back to the topic.
Please do, because I am.
Yeah.
I'm popping at the moment for some reason.
All right, let's get into this though. Let's talk about some things though that are legit that we could potentially encourage people to think about doing, where they maybe can make a few bucks that could help offset their cycling addiction and triathlon addiction, because we know that those races aren't cheap. Right?
Triathlon. Yeah. Well, with triathlon, you're thinking, you got 3 times the amount of gear, although cycling is the most expensive of the 3 sports.
Correct.
By a long shot.
Yep.
But, yeah.
Matt, do you have any insight on what it takes to become a YouTuber and how
So-
much YouTubers are rolling in the dough?
Yeah, I think that this is so YouTube. You can make money on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's
Don't
no
feel
doubt about that.
obligated to disclose what you're
I know.
making either.
So
Matt, do you make any money on YouTube?
I do. I make money on YouTube, actually. It takes a long time to build up a following. At least it did for me. I think some people just, hit a home run with their first, video or two. That was not the case for me. And so you really don't, the time that you put into it versus the money you get, they're probably better side hustles than YouTube, I would say. I will say this.
I'm making all kinds of noises over
I
here.
will say, don't jump on YouTube for the money, because I think that's maybe. I think if you went specific and you were like, I'm going to review medical equipment, I think that there's probably niches on YouTube that you could probably jump into to make money.
Financial products.
And I also think that if financial products are huge, right? Because your advertising dollars, your CPMs, that's going to go through the roof, because people are willing to spend money on those particular channels. People are willing to spend advertising dollars there.
When you step into that market though, and where I kind of start to not draw the line for people to not do this, but to take deep and serious consideration of this, if you're going to get into that marketplace, you need to have better quality information, or you need to be highly charismatic
Yeah.
with really good information, and where people are going to want to come back for more.
Yeah.
So
And I think making a
Kind of like
financial
Chester C.
Heater.
Q heater.
Q Heater.
Q Heater.
Chester Quincy. His middle name's Quincy. A lot of people don't know that.
Chester Q Heater.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a
Charismatic.
He could jump on the financial market and crush.
oh,
it.
absolutely
Absolutely
freaking
crush it.
Luke.
But going back to YouTube stuff, I think if you're really crushing it, like you could probably make $1 per subscriber per year, depending on. You could probably make more than that if you're doing financial work, and you could make a lot less than that if you're maybe talking about athletics and how to become a good triathlete or something like that. And so it kind of depends on your marketplace. That's going to vary the amount of money that you can make on YouTube quite a bit. And so, yeah, choose your topic wisely. I will say that if you are reviewing products and you do enough of it, you'll start to get companies that will send you products.
Yeah.
And that's, if that's what you want and that's what you're interested in, it is fun to say like, okay, well, what's this latest bike computer? What is it going to have to offer? Like you do get that kind of stuff. You get early access to that stuff, and you end up with a lot of it. So it quickly goes from like, oh, I really wish that I had some bike computers, to being like, now I have 40 bike computers and I don't know what to do with them all.
So, Matt, when you make a video, how much time goes into your average video that's probably going to be in that 8 to 10 minute range?
So I just released a video this morning. It's, I think, 10 minutes. I actually don't have any idea. We could look it up. I'm guessing it's about 10 minutes. And I kind of have off and on been like wearing this watch and using it and kind of keeping track of it for 100 days or so. So quite a bit of time as far as like wear
12 and a half minutes.
12 and a half minutes. Thank you. And then I kind of hustled because we had a change in schedule. I had a different video scheduled for this past week, and then I switched it out with this one because the other one's getting pushed till Tuesday. But this one that I posted this morning, I'm guessing it took me, I'll say 15 hours at least of work to get it out there.
Your collective time of actually doing all the testing over that 100 days, is that
It's
included there?
probably, this one was, I would say that's kind of quick for me.
Okay.
So that's kind of getting some details about the product. It's not necessarily testing it because I'm going to go like swim and bike and run anyway.
Yeah.
And so wearing it isn't that big of a deal. But then when you come back, you kind of have to like pull the GPX files, compare it to other files, see how like where the tracking is missing and things like that. So there's lots of little things like that you don't think about. There's like creating a thumbnail, editing that thumbnail, like making sure everything's perfect. The whole edit process is like a day of work. It's a lot of work. It's more than, like, I think a lot of people think like, okay, well, he's just recording talking head and he's throwing on some B-roll on there. And I think you can do that. I think some people do that, and I think they do a great job. And I think that I don't do it that way just because I'm a little too obsessive compulsive about like the video itself kind of looking
There's
a
an
certain
artistic
way.
touch that goes into that you can get pretty crazy involved with.
Yeah.
Or you can just, like you said, you can slap some things together and like roll hard cuts and just the basic intro that you just use and rinse and repeat, and go find some stock video to put over there, and you're not doing any sound dressing on it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that the smart person would do it that way. Would be like, I reuse this kind of intro piece. I drop some, just stock footage in there, and we're good.
yeah. So that kind of goes back to the beginning of this, is like, if you're already a super busy person, maybe you've got a family, maybe you've got full-time work and all that stuff, you can still do this and be successful at it with not, you could take a 15-hour video and really dice it down to maybe 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
You could do that, but there's an element to this where you do this, and I kind of feel the same way. I'm not nearly as productive as you are. I've got 5 videos in the can that still need to be edited, and I know what I want to do to them. I just don't have the freaking time.
It's a lot of time.
But
it's a stupid amount of time.
Yeah, you could make it much more cost-effective time-wise for yourself if you did it differently. So
I think the smart thing to do is like, and this is for YouTube specific, it's like recognize that the talking head part or whatever, like the content, the material, like that's the value that you bring to the video. And the B-roll is just like a little extra layer of butter that's not necessarily needed. So don't put your time into stuff that's not going to add as much value as the most important part, which is the the talking to the camera and stuff like
The
that.
information.
But here's the thing, though. It's a hobby for you that it's turned into a passion. You love that editing process.
I do.
I 100% agree with you,
Yeah.
and I feel the same way. And I want to be able to do that. I just don't have the time. But
Right.
for you, you get a lot of satisfaction out of a great video. And it doesn't, I mean, it does, but it doesn't matter if it gets 500 views or 50,000 views. I mean, you're going to be more appreciative of the fact if it gets a bunch of views because you get to show your stuff to more people. But some of the best videos that you've made, you probably got like some of the least amount of views,
Absolutely.
but there's gratification there.
And that actually, it's almost reverse like what you expect a lot of times where like I put a ton of time into this video about Apple Watch bands, which any sort of Apple product typically does okay, but this one didn't. It's watch bands. It's not that exciting, but I did some unique stuff with that particular edit. For me, it's like beneficial because I'm learning new editing processes, which I do enjoy doing, but it probably would have been smarter time-wise not to worry about any of that stuff because
You spend a lot of time.
spend a lot of time.
Yeah.
It's like 500 views and you're like, okay. So when you have a video that, I mean, really when I talk about like dollar per subscriber, that's not a best way to describe it. It's much more dollar per how many views you have. And, when a video doesn't crush, when it doesn't absolutely explode, you don't make any money at all.
Yeah.
Like you'll see like revenue, it'll be like pennies. So
Now, there is another layer to this. You can actually have sponsored videos. Now, that gets into kind of a little bit of a slippery slope because people are paying you to talk about their products. But I think if you do a full disclosure up front, let people know and, give an honest feedback, not trying to mislead people. I think that those can be a good place, but there's an even further level to this that I personally think is great. And I know that you do it and I think it's a good thing is the affiliate marketing. So if you can go and pick and choose the products that you want to review, you can say all the ins and outs. And if it's something you truly stand behind, you probably are going to want to help sell some of it. So you can go out and create an affiliate link through different means and people can go and when they click through to purchase that, you will get a small percentage of that sale that comes back to you at the end of the month. And if you sell enough stuff, it can be pretty good.
yeah, I probably make a couple of $1,000s per year, maybe more than that, just on affiliate links.
Yeah.
So it's like, talk about the Apple Watch Ultra. There's a link to buy. It's right there. Someone clicks on that. They spend $800 on Amazon. I'm going to get I'm not going to get $100 or anything like that, but I'll get $20 or something like that.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
it adds up,
It's a couple,
especially when you have
a couple points and that comes back to you and enough of those come through, you can do pretty stinking well.
Yeah. And especially when you're reviewing products, if you're talking about something else, a lot of times the affiliate stuff doesn't quite do as well percentage wise. You also mentioned sponsorship opportunities.
Correct.
I think you'll see that as far as YouTube goes, after you have a bigger following, more sponsors want to reach out to you and talk about, having some sort of sponsorship opportunity. It's a little tricky too if you're reviewing products you don't want like Garmin to sponsor a video, not that they would. But like some of the smaller watch companies will reach out and be like, hey, we want to sponsor a video. I'm like, that's not going to work. I'm not going to like sponsor.
I'm going to review your product and you're going to sponsor
And you're
it.
gonna pay me.
And you're going to pay me. So
It's gonna be a great review for
can
you.
I really be honest if I'm getting paid to review this? I get it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a big can of worms right there. Like it's easy to have your audience lose trust. And I think that's probably the most important thing. I know a lot of people do that. They're just like, yep, pay me. We do this. We'll even tell people up front, like, this is not a real review. It's just sponsored video. And that's fine. I get it. I think some of the photography channels and videography channels that we watch do that, and they do pretty well.
There are some products that come along that are fantastic from smaller companies or even bigger companies, and they'll reach out to some of these different YouTubers that have created a nice little like community for themselves. And they'll ask them not necessarily to make a review video, but like make an advertisement, if they have the credibility, if they like the product. And sometimes these people are very gifted in terms of their ability to create a really aesthetically pleasing video, kind of like Matt is able to do. They'll actually put something together that'll be more of like a little infomercial almost.
Yeah.
And it's not a review, but it's just like, hey, this is a
Here's
product
the
I like.
details.
Yeah, I'm getting paid by these guys, but I also really like it and I use it. If that person has enough credibility and they have good rapport with their community, that's another good way that you can make a few bucks.
I have actually, some of my videos are kind of like reprocessed by brands, and it's not stealing. I'm usually like saying like, sure, you can use this or whatever, but I don't get paid for it. But there's like that shirt company that had like they track your breathing and they can see where your, V1 and V2 and VO2 max kind of details are, like where it is with and you can kind of compare that to wattage or heart rate or whatever. So that company, I think, uses some of my video in their advertisements. There's some goggle companies that have used my stuff in their advertisements. All that stuff is fine. I kind of wish that they wouldn't just snag videos and use it as advertisements. I kind of wish it was more like, hey, if you want to send people to this link, sure, but you can't just steal it and drop it into Instagram.
Right.
They're seriously doing that without.
I think that usually I'll green light stuff. If they want to do it, that's fine. I think in the future I'll probably be like, hey,
licensing agreement with their pal.
yeah. Well, I don't. That's the thing is like, then again, I don't want to make money from the company itself, because then I feel like that's going to influence the review, and I like to draw a line there. So,
What if it was like, hey, can we use your video, but we'll send you X amount of product for free? I mean,
again, that's still getting paid
Yeah.
in my books. So another company, there's have you guys ever heard of Mint Mobile? It's like Ryan Reynolds, like cellular company.
Oh, yeah.
They reached out to me and they're like, hey, we want to do a sponsored video. And I was like, that's going to work.
they
because-
seriously reached out to you.
Yeah, because so I think what you'll see from my channel eventually, I haven't done this yet, but like you'll see sponsored videos with brands that that kind of relate, but don't relate exactly. Like it's not something
Almost
that
like
I'm
product
reviewing.
placement kind of thing, or
So for example, like, you've got some sort of Apple Watch video or whatever it is. Well, you can kind of at least relate that, somewhat to cellular companies, because the Apple Watch can do cellular, whatever. But I'm not going to review Verizon, or I'm not going to review AT&T or Mint Mobile, but I would talk about them and be like, here's a sponsored segment. If you're using an Apple Watch, you might consider this particular cellular company.
Right.
So that I think is a good fit for my channel. And it's very hard to find like good fits for sponsors for my channel, right? Like
That aren't fitness industry related.
that I don't, yeah, exactly, that I wouldn't want to engage with. So,
that's pretty cool, Matt. I didn't know that.
well, I haven't done it yet. So,
Well, are they still gonna do it with you, even given that they sold Mint Mobile to T-Mobile?
ooh, I don't know. Did
Yes. Yeah. There's
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds did good. I mean, there's a number that starts with the letter B.
they? Oh, really?
that
Good for him, man.
that
and he
that
doesn't
company
own the
got
whole
bought for.
company. He owns a piece of the company.
He needs to, because
it's
he's
a
probably
decent chunk,
buying. I think he bought like a soccer league
does.
or something, or
Wrexham.
he owns a percentage of a soccer league.
He owns a good chunk of Wrexham, which is a football club in England.
Huh.
And
Yeah.
Aviation Gin, which is
Oh, yeah,
actually
that's right.
It's actually a Portland company.
Is it really?
Really?
Yeah. And he owns that as well.
I told him, I was like, yeah, I'll do this, but I get to meet Ryan Reynolds, and they were like, sure, we'll set that up. No, I was like, that's a joke. I'm completely joking. Oh, I do not need to meet Ryan Reynolds.
Love it. There are other kinds of videos that people are making these days. It doesn't have to be this long, like
Yes.
over edited and not over edited, just like highly edited and like just a beautiful artwork thing that you're going to put up on YouTube. There's a lot of people that are jumping on Instagram and TikTok.
Yes.
And they're making influencer videos, and these people are killing it.
Yeah. In fact, usually that's what they'll say if you're starting up a channel is like, don't start with 12-minute videos. Whatever you do the opposite of what Matt's doing. Like quick videos that look like they're not well produced do really well in shorts, because people are like, this is a real person talking to their phone or whatever. And it's like, here's this brand new, I'm unboxing this new watch, bam, like short. Here's what I think of it. Like just,
Yeah, I got the new and I
seconds
went out and tried it out. This thing is awesome. Check it out. And they'll show it in like 2 or 3 minutes at most.
Yeah.
Maybe 30 seconds to a minute. And if you want one, I've got the link down in comments that people are clicking on these things, not by the tens, not by the hundreds, but by the hundreds of thousands. And they're buying these things. And you're seeing stories of people making a couple $1,000s a day to like tens of thousands of dollars per day. It's like,
It's pretty
oh my
crazy.
Lord, this is big. So
I think the shorts thing, if I were growing an audience today, I think that's, and I guess I am growing an audience today. I feel like that's the smart way to do it. Again, don't do what I'm doing.
Oh, anything else in that arena that you can think of, Matt, that I didn't already bring up?
Yeah, I think, again, obviously follow your passion. I think that there's still, I think the reason to start a channel, and I if you've seen some of my old videos in the past, I encourage everyone to do it. Start a channel, start today. Don't worry about it being super polished or whatever. You can use your phone to record stuff. But I do think that people should do it because I think that they know information that I don't, and they have a passion for things that I don't. And I think that it's important to share that information with people. And I think YouTube is a great platform for that.
Sure. Cool. How about being an ambassador for a company? Would you guys step into that realm? And I can say this knowing that we are actively looking for and recruiting ambassadors for the Dialed Cycling Lab to have people that can come out and help us with certain things, whether it be leading rides or whether it be just being an information source to other people or to help out with different things around the shop with respect to referrals and like different marketing things that we're pushing out there, that just people that are connected to community that, you can take care of and they can help grow your business. Is that something that you would consider doing?
It's not something that I would consider doing only because I have the YouTube following that I don't want to have like a particular sponsorship. I mean, it'd be different if it was like Dialed as a lab, but if it was like, what I see is, like some sort of bubbly water company saying like, you can be an ambassador of this program. Here's what you get. You get, money towards the bubbly water for every, Instagram post that you do and things like that. And that's something where I feel like that would be a little tricky for me because I'm trying to be very, I don't know.
Neutral?
Exactly. Thank you for the word. Yeah. Very neutral about products that I review. And I feel like that would kind of cross the line there. However, I do have quite a few friends that are part of the ambassador programs and they love it. Like the classic example, the one that's I think been around forever is Cliff Bar or Power Bar or something like that. You would run these races and, you would take pictures of your race or whatever and post them and you would get points towards, and I think they call them like Power Bar bucks or something like that. And you would earn their product.
Hammer Nutrition had something similar to that where you, like for every podium picture that was taken with you in a Hammer Nutrition shirt or branded item, you would get paid.
Wow.
If you were on their ambassador program.
Was it money or product?
It was money.
There you go.
And sometimes that can make life a little bit more simplistic. Like you're always looking for like, what's my next video? And granted, I know you have got a million things in the can, but if you can kind of niche down and you can kind of just focus on one or two things and just support those things, knowing that I've already got my full-time job. I've got my family. I don't need to go out there and be doing a plethora of things like spending 15 hours a week on videos that I need to do for now until the rest of the time. But if you could just kind of niche down and you found somebody that was like willing to help support you, that's going to ultimately be a few bucks in the bank for you that you can put towards your hobby.
Yep.
That might make things a little bit easier for you.
I think it makes a lot of sense for a lot of the people who are listening to this channel or this particular podcast where it's like, they're going to these races. They're going to do it anyway. It'd be nice to have a couple of those dollars, to cover race fees and to cover travel expenses and things like that. So,
and sometimes it's not always about like how much money can I extract from this. It's like, well, if I'm going to do something and maybe you have a good circle of friends or good community and let's say that there's a race promoter out there that just wants to get more people out there. Like maybe it's just recruiting like 4 or 5 or 10 of your friends to come out and do the race and then you get a free race entry.
That would be huge.
Or you've done this before too. Like I think you have like helping people with like website stuff or getting them some video or some pictures or things of that nature. And then all of a sudden you're getting like, hey, Matt, thank you for that. And we appreciate that. Come race for free.
That's true. Why Racing event. I helped them with they have basically this like point series thing. And so I wrote a program that went through every single athlete and it started calculating they're in this age group and they're in, this is when this is their birthday and this is the points that they ended up getting over the entire series of the entire calendar. So it was a cool program. And then I would run that and it would generate the HTML and I would post that. And so we'd have like, all of this different metrics and numbers and things like that for people to use. And they were like, you get to race for free. And this is at a time when I was, doing triathlon races as much as possible. And I probably saved at least a couple $1,000s per year just because it was race fees. And those were some of the races that, I could do 2 races because it was free. It'd be like, okay, well, I can do the Olympic on one day and I can do the half Ironman on the next. And it's like that normally would cost you $400. it was free. So,
Again, it's sometimes not always about how much money you're making, but it's how much money you're saving. So if you can save yourself some money, that's just money not spent. So yeah, it's kind of effectively the same thing, but it's helping you do what it is that you love.
right. Yeah. It was fun. And they, then you're part of the Y Racing team, and it's a good place to be. You're helping support a program or a company that you believe in, and you're helping support the triathlon community. And if that's something that you believe in, which is something that was a big part of it for me, it was like, hey, we got to get more people doing triathlons, or else this sport is going to die.
Right.
And I think we're hanging on by a thread. So
Yeah. There's a little thing like you can give back, you can help, you can do different things, and everybody has time, talent, or treasure, or sometimes all three. If you got the treasure part, you probably don't need to be listening to what we're talking about right here unless you need to add to said treasure pile. But if you've got time and talent, those are things that you can utilize if you're willing to, take those steps forward to help do these sorts of things. And so Matt's fortunate to have the time and the talent, and he's taken advantage of that, and now he's got the treasure.
no, the treasure seems to be dwindling.
It's buried in a secret location.
I got to go talk to Chester about that, see where he...
Oh man, he seems like the kind of guy that
Did he find that Sasquatch yet?
Don't know.
Buried with the treasures?
I don't know. Haven't talked to him in a while.
Oh, what else, guys? Do you guys have anything? I've got a few more that I can throw out there, but do you guys have any other little side hustle?
You can sell your body to the night.
What if you're already doing that?
I'm looking at Lance.
What if you're already doing that? You could be like a tour guide, a bike tour guide.
yeah.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
Like Velo Guide offers. You can sign up with them to be a guide in your city, and you can be paid to take people on rides.
Sure. And let's go back to talking about Cycle House. I mean, that's what they do. They've turned that into quite the little business model
Yes.
that's doing quite well for itself, it
Yeah.
seems like. So that could be something to aspire to maybe, but it doesn't have to be that intricate or that involved. But
It started out as them just wanting to ride in warm and cool locations, and it turned into this bike vacation
Yeah.
company that they have just figured out the magic sauce for it.
Here in the Pacific Northwest, that's a fantastic thing because people want to come here. I mean, they don't want to come here in January, February, March, probably April, sometimes May, but like we'll just say from June to the end of September, even into October, when you start to see the colors turn, this place is magical.
Yeah.
It's probably one of my favorite places on earth to be. Like, I don't want to be anywhere else in the Pacific Northwest in the summer months.
Yeah.
To take people around and show them some beautiful rides and just kind of have like a route set up that you can start doing these things, whether it be road or mountain or gravel, people would just absolutely kill for that.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's an interesting idea. There's another company, I don't even know the name of it, but you can rent out your bikes if you, like, let's say you owned a dozen bikes like Lance here. You can rent out your bikes to people that are traveling. So if you're in a popular travel destination, like Hawaii comes to mind, right? Where it's
Spin
like,
Lister.
is that the name of it?
That's one of the
That's one of
companies
them.
that
There's
does
probably
it.
multiple, but yeah, you can rent your bike out to people.
That's actually a really good thing to think
It's
of.
like a little side hustle.
We get phone calls all the time. Do you guys rent bikes? I'm like, no, it doesn't say anywhere on our website that we rent bikes. I've never put that out there, but people just, they're still going to call local bike shops. And there's something out there that connected us with some, I don't even know where it's at, but like, I think I saw somewhere online that said you guys might rent bikes. And I'm like, no, we've never rented bikes. And, you tell them in a very nice way. And I'll actually try and refer them to other places that I know might still rent bikes. But that's another nice little side hustle. If you're okay with people riding your nice bike, maybe you have a less nice bike, your backup bike. Maybe you're okay with renting that out.
Don't you have a titanium bike? It's bomb proof.
I do.
You could rent that
Rent
baby
that.
out.
I
Rent
could
it out.
rent it out.
Is there? Oh, you probably have to start looking into insurances for that kind of stuff, though.
Yeah.
And maintenance records and the whole gamut. So I mean, that's definitely something
And then
because
you're responsible if something goes wrong with the bike.
With the bike.
yeah, and that's 100% why we don't rent bikes. 'Cause I just don't
really?
want to dip my toes in those waters. It just seems like there's always somebody out there looking to
Sue.
sue.
Yeah,
But it's a viable little business model.
I would say it probably dependent upon where you are. I mean, I can't imagine a ton of people are like, I'm going to Camas, Washington for vacation. But I mean, people do. They're visiting family and things like that. But I'm guessing like Hawaii, Maui, those bike rental places probably crush.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're busy. You have to, like on the Big Island, generally you have to reserve your bike like months, weeks or months in advance if you want a bike in your size. Yeah.
Yeah, I called like the day before, talked to the owner of some bike company in Maui, and they were like, "We got you. We'll get one. We'll find a bike for you." And I was like, "I'll take this nice Attic, Scott Attic bike." And they were like, "Sure, we got one for you. Come pick it up here."
Fantastic.
It was great. Such a good experience. I mean, I took perfect care of this bike. I rode it twice, right? And then I was like, "Here you go, right back at you."
Yeah.
And it was such a good experience.
I'd be curious to hear some of their horror stories, though.
Oh, I bet,
mean,
yeah.
like, you guys probably jumping these things off of stuff that they shouldn't be doing and thrashing them and knocking them over. I mean, how, on average, I'm sure people do a pretty good job of taking care of the bike, but how often are you dealing with the bad seeds?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I don't know.
1 in 10, maybe
Yeah.
something like that.
I mean, you got to be if you're going to rent that kind of a bike when you're on vacation, it's because you don't want to miss your rides.
Yeah,
You know?
and you set a price point where it's like, hey, if 1 out of 10 is going to hurt this bike, then the price point is like, okay,
Yeah.
if it's $100, then that you're at $1,000 before you have some sort of situation, and that the $1,000 that you made can cover that said situation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I guess not for nothing, you're going to take a deposit on the bikes, and there's going to be some
Yep.
sort of a rental agreement or a clause in there that says if you cause damage to the bike, that you're going to have to repair
Yep.
the property. So I guess there's a little bit of protection there, but still, I hate like dropping something like that on somebody. Just like, oh, you did this to the bike. No, I didn't. And then it becomes
It
like,
can be a lot of work there.
combative, yeah.
Yep.
all right, that was a good one. How about you, Matt? You got any more?
I think the bike rental thing is a good thing for people to consider as a side hustle, especially if you're like trying to justify the purchase of a new bike.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, I'm going to spend this, $4,000 on this bike, but at least over 4 years, I'm going to make 1,000 of it back maybe by
Sure.
renting it out. I don't know. Also, again, dependent upon where you are. I think that's a decent side hustle.
I mean, it works in the home rental, arena. I mean, there's a lot of people that will buy a secondary house and they're like, yeah, we want that, but it would be really nice if we didn't have to like pay that much per month just to carry it. So let's go ahead and just rent the thing out. So all of a sudden your second home becomes a rental property
Yep.
that you get to use throughout the course of the year. And then maybe you're making a few bucks on it.
I know. Yeah. There's a couple of people. We have some friends that have a mountain house they're renting it out and they do great. They're keeping that thing busy.
Yeah.
Which to me, that was my biggest fear is like, okay, you pick up a second house or something like that, you rent it out. One, like, can you rent it out? How busy is that particular location? I don't know.
There's
Seems
certain
hard.
rules on short-term vacation homes, but if it's in the right spot, yeah,
You
it
have
works.
spots that you rent out?
I don't do any short-term loans.
No, short-term rentals.
Short-term rentals.
Short-term rentals. Yeah.
I've also quit loan sharking.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Love it. How about coaching?
I think coaching is a fantastic side hustle. If you're investing all of this time learning about your sport, learning about, all the different details, all the different nutrition issues, all the different, there's so much, it's such a deep dive. If you've invested a decade of time of your own into that, then coaching is such a good opportunity for you to, A, give something back, and B, make a little bit of money.
And if
doing
you've
that.
got a good reputation, that is certainly a way to help.
Yeah.
For sure.
If you're always hungry and thirsty for more, I mean, if you're constantly challenging yourself, and you're going out there and you're the person, like you're your biggest experiment and you're playing with all the different things and seeing what works. And then, maybe finding out like what supplements work or what kind of a training program works or what kind of recovery cycle works. And maybe if you're getting a little bit up there in age and you understand what it's like to be a youth, but also understand what it's like to be a master's racer that needs to kind of change things up a little bit, that all starts to really pay big dividends. And if you can do a good job of helping others through that process, especially people that are newer to the sport or people that are a little bit passion blind and they think they know what's best for them, but having somebody looking at it more objectively from the outside, that could be a good thing.
That could be.
I mean, a perfect example of that, Ian Gibson.
Sure.
I mean, that guy's got decades of experience and he's been coached by some of the best and he's learned and he's a big student of the sport, which is fantastic. And it's awesome to see him take that leap and say, hey, I'm actually going to start coaching people now. And he's doing a good job. So good stuff.
Ian's killing it. Yeah.
Your good stuff that you used to say all the time, bringing it back.
Exactly.
Bring it back.
Bringing it back.
Evan Price is a good example of someone who is taking on some small sponsorship opportunities and things like that. On your left is, I think, a new sponsor of his.
Yes.
So I think if you're, depending on which athletic, where you are athletically, there may be sponsorship opportunities if you're willing to. And those are hard. I mean, they're competitive. They're hard to get, but it's possible.
Yeah. Another good one that we've kind of been talking about before, and he's actually been on the podcast, or we've talked about it quite a few times on the podcast, is Scott's Bike Art. Our good friend Scott Troutman.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
He has this. He's a talented guy. He's got an artistic touch to him, and it's been kind of fun to watch the things that he's been coming up with. As a matter of fact, down at the lab, we keep all of our old parts that we know specifically will work well for him and what his needs are, so he can create these art pieces, and they just keep getting more and more intricate. And he's doing some really cool things. So, if you're getting parts. And I think
creates little sculptures or art pieces with old bike parts. Chains, chain rings, brake levers, all that type of stuff.
He's got a few different sources of people that are giving him all the stuff that he needs. So I think at the end of the day, he's probably buying like the wood backdrops that he's putting on. That's probably his big investment, that in his time. But, he's putting these things together, and I still think he's probably selling them for too little. I mean, some of them are like $60, $70. Some of them are 100, 125. So to some people that
probably.
Exactly. But some people are like, oh, that's too much. But if you think about how much time and energy goes into those, I mean, he's still going to make money. It's fantastic. But if he's turning these things over, that's a nice little side hustle that's going to make a few bucks.
Does Brandy sell her art?
She does occasionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
she'll post pictures and things, and somebody will say, "Oh my gosh, I love that. Where can I buy that?" And she says, "Just DM me, and I'll figure it out."
Yeah.
So Lance has got her working in the sweatshop back at his house, and she's turning out art pieces, and he's selling them on the black market. That's another way he's supplementing
most
income.
of my house is a write off because it's an actual
art
business
studio. She should actually. I can't remember what the girl's name is, but I follow her on Instagram, and she paints shoes. She takes white cycling shoes and she paints them.
Oh yeah.
Huh.
It's one of the wives or girlfriends from one of the pro teams, the Jumbo Visma team. So, but yeah, I'll share that with you guys, or we can share it on the channel, the podcast links that we have. But yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. She's done like tons of different types of shoe art. So cool. I'm sure it cost a fortune to buy her shoes, but
That's cool.
they're awesome. We can get Brandy on that.
I noticed that Scott made a little piece for Izzy King, who's in the Lifetime Grand Prix Fitness, and she's got a huge social media following, and she posted like a picture of what Scott made for her, which is
Well played, Scott.
Yes, it was
Well
good.
played.
It was good work.
I wonder if he got a few Instagram followers out of that, and
I
maybe
hope
some
so.
business. Good for him.
Yeah.
That's smart. How about somebody like our friend of the show, and he's going to be back on in the upcoming months. This will be a fun one. I'll talk with you guys a little bit more about it behind the scenes. But Dylan Wiggins, who's painting bike frames. How freaking cool is that? I mean, we know that's not his full gig, but he's got to be making a few bucks off of that. Or at least I would hope so.
Right hook finishes.
Yeah, I mean, follow
He does
that for sure.
custom painting of bike stuff.
Dylan just keeps getting better at this too. I don't know what it is. None of them have ever been bad, but they just keep getting more and more detailed and more intricate.
He's one of those guys that's just like everything he touches, just talent.
Yeah.
He's just like a talented guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. So there are other things that people are doing out there. There are people that are like flipping bike stuff, bike parts.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. There's probably, if you know what you're looking for, where you can buy something cheap, turn around and sell it.
Correct.
And make money.
And there's people that are restoring bikes too. Mm-hmm. There's a whole marketplace there that actually does pretty well. If you know where to source parts, if you know how to polish things up, if you know how to restore things back to their former glory, you can make decent money on that kind of stuff, which is always a good thing as well. What else you guys got?
If you're in like a busier downtown area, you could do Uber Eats or DoorDash
Oh, wow.
on your bike.
Correct?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So you could be riding your bike and delivering food for people, and those apps are very popular, especially with the younger 20s and 30s crowd. I don't know why I don't use it, but the younger crowd really does.
I know.
You could make money delivering food on your bike.
Remember that movie Quicksilver? Kevin Bacon? Did you guys ever see that? Wasn't he like a mail courier or something like that?
I think so.
That was pretty
possible.
cool. I think he's probably making a few bucks riding his bike around.
But that has to be that's downtown.
Big city. I think I have another friend, and she travels a lot for work, and she says she just gets to these places and she's got time and she's got nothing to do.
Yeah.
Just kill time. And she's like So she's DoorDash delivery in her like spare time. So she's getting paid double basically because she's getting paid to travel for work or whatever. And then as she gets there, she just has nothing but time sometimes
she
in between
DoorDashes.
meetings and stuff. And so she'll just go deliver food, just pick up something, drop it off somewhere.
She's a hustler.
I know, right? She was telling me about that, and I was like, I kind of want to do that. Like, just use any downtime that you have, right? Where it's like you could be sitting in your car doing nothing, or you could just deliver some stuff.
And you're still just driving around in your car.
Yep.
You know, you could be listening to something. And
You could listen to our podcast.
Yeah,
you
you
be
could
making
listen
money.
to this right now.
Oh, I'm tapped out of little ideas. What else you guys got?
There are a few apps that you can get paid to use that are like fitness related. One is called Healthy Wage, where you bet how much weight you're going to lose. And if you hit the goals, you get paid somehow. It's a direct app that pays for your biking, but you can get paid to lose weight. So that's an option. There's another one called TaskRabbit.
Oh, yeah.
Where
It's kind of like DoorDash, right?
yeah, except it's for like they might have you clean something or haul some bark dust, or you can sign up for this or you can pick jobs that you could go do
Come
to
pick
earn.
up my dog poop.
Yes,
Yeah.
something like that. Landscaping or moving something, or please fix my computer because it's frozen and I don't know how to fix it. So that's another app that you could use.
If you're a good mechanic, there's always work out there. There's people that don't want to take the hassle or go to the hassle of taking their bikes into a bike shop. And if you're willing to go door to or home to home or do home services, there's that. You can start a shop out of your garage if you want to.
I have a
I know a guy that did that.
I have
Look where
a
it got him.
a flat repair service at the end of my driveway because I live.
You
not
do
really.
kind of live on a bike.
I live
bike-friendly-
on a bike. I live on a bike route that
Yeah.
goes over the 205 bridge. I'm very close to that, and at least probably 6 to 10 times a year, somebody's trying to fix something at the end of my driveway.
So Lance, instead of setting up a lemonade stand back in the day, set up a flat repair stand, and he would just sit there.
I just go down with the floor pump
$100.
and an inner tube, and,
And
I'm
then
like,
what you
"Want me
did
to
see
switch
was
that for you?"
Lance getting up early in the morning and throwing a bunch of tacks out there on the 205 bike
he
path. And,
That's right.
Oh,
Job security.
Yeah.
I can fix that.
and then the advent of tubeless tires came around, so he started slanging sealant instead, right?
That's right.
Easier job. Anything else, Matt?
I think that's a good mix of things for people to think about.
Yeah, there's so much stuff out there, and I'd be curious to know if we missed anything. If anybody has anything that they think that, again, there's a million things that you can do out there, but think of more things that people can do within the cycling and triathlon community to maybe earn a few bucks or save a few bucks or get them rolling.
Oh, I bet we'll get some really good comments.
There's a company called RideEvert where you can like wrap your bike with advertising and
Really?
get paid to ride your bike around with advertising on it.
Huh.
I'm just finding this stuff.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Anyway,
I wonder if they have a kit.
right?
Awesome. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Do you guys want to do a little bit of the
What do we got,
backpedaling?
backpedaling?
Do you guys want to do some of this? I mean, well, I guess there's some stuff.
You get to choose.
Well, you know, I'm going to say that there were things that happened that we can talk about. This podcast is being recorded kind of out of order in terms of like how we thought things were going to play out. So we recorded a podcast early to come out this week. And just full disclosure, we had to kind of press pause because there's things that were talked about it that can't actually be talked about until next
Correct.
week. So we kicked that can down the road. That's why this podcast is coming out a day late. This, that, and the other. But there were bike races that we didn't talk about in that podcast. So let's do
Champ Bailey, top five here.
Champ.
Champ is here. We had the Tour of Flanders last week, which was a
Great
crazy
race.
fun. Great race. It's one of the classics.
Okay, so I think anytime you get MVP, Wout, you throw some,
Gotcha.
you throw anyone else in there.
Yes.
I think you put those guys in there, it's just gonna be a good race. And it's almost like if those guys aren't in the race, is it even worth watching?
Right. Case in point, Paris-Roubaix is this week, and Pogacar is not doing Paris-Roubaix.
But Wout, I think,
But
is.
Wout and Van der Poel both
So
are.
it'll be worth watching.
It'll be worth watching.
Yeah.
So Tour of Flanders happened. It was pretty crazy. lots of crashes, lots of like breakaway got away, and then it got reeled back, and then it was all kind of pretty crazy. Did you guys see any of the highlights from it?
I was out of the country. I had very bad cell service and bad Wi-Fi, so I was trying to get bits and pieces of what happened and watch some review videos, and I was just getting little chunks here and there.
I watched most of the last hour or so. Yeah.
What happened with was it a Bahrain rider who ended up getting relegated from the race because he did something really stupid and took out the peloton?
Okay, so here's the thing. The rules with Tour of Flanders is if it's not fenced off, everything's fair game.
Oh.
You can ride in the grass, you can ride on like the bike paths if the bike paths aren't fenced off.
Yeah.
And so the Bahrain rider was trying to he was trying to get around, and he was just off the road. Like it wasn't really maybe it was a bike path or a walking lane or a sidewalk with no people on it. So nobody there. He's trying to roll around, and the pavement ended just as he was kind of shooting to the front, and there was grass there, and it looked like, okay, he's just going to roll through the grass and roll in the front. But the grass was saturated with water, and he hit the grass, and it threw him hard right, straight into the peloton. So it was his fault for being over there, but he was trying to get around. He hit that right into the peloton, caused a huge pile up. Several people went to the hospital, and then they didn't relegate him. They like disqualified him out of the race.
Okay.
So kind of iffy whether they should have done that, because he really wasn't breaking the rules by doing that. And he felt, as soon as he did it, he felt terrible. The footage is kind of crazy of that. But regardless, he got
Sounds to me like there's not much. I mean, you sometimes can't control where you're getting thrown.
He
from
got
the bike.
thrown. Yeah. I mean, he hit the water, and it just like pitched him right straight into somebody, and accordion, and then the fifth person down went down, and then huge pile up.
All right, so fast forward, we get towards more of like the end of the race, and the big three were still there.
They were all still there.
They caught the chase group.
They caught the chase group, but Wout had been involved in a crash so quite a ways earlier.
Who was his teammate that was in the breakaway? I can't remember the guy's name that was in the breakaway on Jumbo Visma.
Yeah,
anyway, he kind of eased up and waited for Wout so that he could pull Wout into that front.
Correct.
Group.
Wout was struggling because he landed. He like bruised some ribs, and
really
he kind of banged him up.
Yeah.
But he was still like racing. But he was getting dropped, and his teammate came back and pulled him back. So we already kind of knew Wout wasn't really himself at the end of this race, which is a bit of a bummer. And Van der Poel had made a bit of a mistake early on in the race. He was fiddling around near the back of the peloton, and there was a split in the peloton, and
he had to cover
him and his team missed the split.
Matches burned.
It was only like 20 seconds, but he had to like rally his team, who had a different plan for the day. Like, we got to close this down now. So we kind of burned some matches early there as well, but close it down. So what ended up happening is near the end of the race, I want to say it's 12 or 15 or 18K to go or something like
There's
that.
a decent climb.
The Quermont, I believe it's called. It's a cobbled climb. And that was the point where Pogačar
I think that's the climb where MVP drilled it.
Yeah, so MVP drilled one, and Pogačar pulled it back. And then on the next climb, Pogačar went, and nobody could go with him.
Yeah.
And he like emptied himself to get to the top of this. And he got to the top with like a 10-second gap that he ended up just extending.
Yeah.
So as it flattened out, you can just see him. He looks like he's on a TT bike. He's just so tight on the close to the bars or whatever.
Yep.
And the other, I think, so this in second was MVP, also drilling it, but couldn't
close the gap.
Well, I do remember reading something about MVP saying that he gave that everything he had. I mean, with the exception of that one mistake that they made where you talked about them getting in the split.
Missing the split.
He said that he rode his best race. He had his best time. I mean, he's done the race 5 times. And I think he's
won it twice.
Won it twice and has a second place finish and a fourth place finish, and now has another second place finish.
Yeah.
he drilled it, and I think that was his fastest overall time. And the whole race itself was record breaking in terms of the pace.
Correct.
And he's
Fastest
like,
one ever.
Pogacar is just on a different level.
Yeah.
So hats off. Tade's just an animal.
And then there was the break of like 8 guys that Wout was in, and he actually got out sprinted by Mads Pedersen.
Oh yeah, who also was like leading the race for a big block of time.
yes,
I think
he had made a move earlier in the day that got
Sure.
pulled back. Yeah.
Well,
So Wout wasn't feeling
yeah. When you get
quite it.
beat up there, if you fall and get hurt, then yeah, that's understandable. I mean, we all still love the guy, but
Yep.
can't win everything.
can't win everything.
An American Nielsen Paulus took 5th.
That's
Wow.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really quite fantastic. So pretty crazy. So that was like the big news that happened with this last week. Paris-Roubaix coming up this weekend, and Pogacar is not in it. He actually said in one of his interviews that for me to do well at Roubaix, I really need to gain a little bit of weight. I need to be bigger,
Stronger, yeah.
stronger, and I need to toughen up my hands. This is what he said in an interview after Flanders.
Sure.
That he's like, his Paris-Roubaix is,
It beats the snot out of you.
it just
It's
beats the snot out
long.
of you.
It's hard. The weather's probably not going to be fantastic.
No, the recon rides have just been nasty.
Okay, but you've got the likes of Jumbo Visma now that are using this tire pressure control system.
Right.
That could be somewhat game changing for that ride. I mean, you could potentially be riding a little bit bigger of a tire.
Yes,
that
and
you
it
let air
lets
out.
air out. It won't put air back in.
Are you sure?
I don't know.
I think you have the ability to go both ways on this.
Freaking A. Yeah, because if you're storing pressurized air in the rim, okay, I don't want to think about this too much.
I still got to look into it a little bit more,
Yeah.
but from my understandings, it goes both ways. You can add or subtract air volume to your tires. That changes how much of a beating you're going to take on the cobbles
Yes.
in those rough sections.
And then put more air back in for the
Yeah.
paved sections.
Yeah. Rolling resistance, just managing that the entire race. That's going to make the whole experience on you not nearly as tedious. I mean, it's still going to be a hard as hell race. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, do you think that the people that raced this in the past are like, this isn't fair? They shouldn't be able to do this.
Probably. Well, even tubeless tires has made it like
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to
Easier.
be technology and there's always going to be advancements and things that are always going to be made to make the riders go faster with more comfort, with greater speed, and all of the fun things that go in to make them a better racer. But I don't know. Do you think that you're losing a little bit of the nostalgia of the race because you're doing these things?
look, that's the way the sport goes. There's advancements and things change and people go faster and
Yeah.
make it more comfortable. So
I mean, bikes that they raced on 30, 40, 50 years ago were in the day that they were the best thing ever. They had all the advancements there. And then you compare one of those bikes to a bike that you're riding today, it is just mind blowing how different they
yes, very much so.
are. Performance, the comfort, the fit, the whole everything is just through the roof.
Yeah.
So
So pretty exciting.
Yep.
So excited for Paris-Roubaix this
Yep.
weekend. So we'll see what happens.
yeah, you got any favorite? You're gonna call your shot?
I love Wout. I
Yeah.
love to see him do good. I think we all kind of do. He's like a fan favorite because he's likable.
Yeah.
You know, he hasn't done anything that really makes you not like him, where most professional athletes kind of do at some point.
I think on this podcast, I mean, we love Wout and we also like Vanderpool, but for whatever reason, it's like, I don't know why. I mean, I always liken Vanderpool to being the guy that's like his nemesis, his enemy, you know,
Yes.
so an enemy of his is an enemy of ours. Like, but I love MVP too, because I think he's a great guy and he's a spectacular athlete and he's fun to watch. So I think we're spoiled. We got
Yeah.
too many
We are
great
spoiled.
cyclists
There's
right
good
now.
time to be watching.
There's another stage race going on right now. And
The
Vingegaard's doing quite well.
Tour of Basque Country.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Just a tune-up race kind of thing.
Yeah, just another stage race, tune-up race, and Jonas Vingegaard has he's got a few teammates with him, and he won a couple stages. He didn't win today's stage. This is Friday while we're recording this. Wait, is it Friday?
All day long.
Okay. He didn't win today, but he won 2 stages in a row, so he's kind of cleaning up at that thing. So he's still on form.
Yeah.
So Vingegaard is prepping himself for.
I know it's going to be a very exciting tour.
It's going to be a good tour. Yeah.
Cool.
But we got the Giro before that.
Yes. Is Seb Kuss doing the Giro?
That came out this morning that they are having Sepp Kuss do the Giro in
support
of Primoz Roglic, who is also doing the Giro.
Is Sepp going to be at? He'll be at
You would think he would be at the
tour. Yeah,
I hope so. I
hope
would think
both
that
of them
he
go,
is.
and I hope both of them go as
support.
Well, I don't know, support. But I think it's good just to have that backup card in case something happens to Jonas.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I'm sure that they've got a lot of
Primoz
horsepower.
Roglic is not a bad backup.
No, cool. No. All right, anything else?
That's it.
Champs out.
Champs out.
Cool. Let's jump into our back pedal for the day.
I can go super fast because
Wants to go first, Matt Legrand. Go
I
ahead.
think I've been out on the bike twice, testing some bike stuff for videos and things like that. I have nothing long, nothing decent. I've been swimming a good bit, like
Good for you.
probably swimming 5 days a week or something crazy like that. And a little bit of running sprinkled in there for good measure.
Cool.
Always testing devices.
Right on.
Always running trails. Always testing devices.
Lance, did you race last week?
I did.
What did you race last
We
week, Lance?
did the Mudslinger mountain bike race, and
Pictures were amazing from that.
it was freaking miserable. I hate to say that, but it was miserable. What did I tried to call I wouldn't call my shot last week. No, because this race traditionally I haven't done real well.
With the exception of the one time that you won it.
Yeah.
In your field, yep.
That was like early. Anyway, but what happened was it poured rain all night before the race. It got to be really quite nasty at race start. It was only like 39 degrees, so it was very cold, and it ended up being there's like chance for hypothermia.
Yeah.
So only about half the field showed up. So that's what happened. This is a race that normally has 300 or 400 racers in it, and there were only 150 that did the race. So a lot of people who had registered didn't show up because it was just ugly.
Bad conditions,
Yeah. So our teammate who I battle at this race with, and he lives very close to this, he didn't come because it was too cold. It was too muddy. It was just kind of nasty. So I did the race, and I ended up winning the division.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think you described the downhill single track section as a muddy, slippery toboggan race.
Yeah, they were like toboggan runs.
Yeah.
There's lots of single track sections, and most of the single track sections are downhill at this race.
Sure.
And you do all this climbing on fire roads or logging roads, and then you do these single track sections, which are all downhill. And it was so nasty muddy that it was like foot out, 2-wheel sliding type stuff. It was sketchy.
Anybody get hurt?
Yeah. Not that I know of. Nobody got hurt. There was a rider that got pulled for hypothermia because it was that cold out.
Yeah.
If you weren't working really hard, I was going full gas for an hour and 40 minutes, and my feet were numb and my hands were numb afterwards.
What bike did you use?
I just got a brand new mountain bike, the Scott Spark World Cup. Yeah, okay. Scott Spark World Cup.
He's got another 4-stroke he wants to sell if you're looking for another Lance hand-me-down.
Seriously, that's not a bad idea.
I do have a updated 4-stroke
never been crashed
for you. It's never been crashed this week because I didn't ride it this week.
Did you like the new bike? Did you get a little bit of time using it before?
I rode it.
You're like this
one
is
time,
fresh off the factory floor.
So we just finished putting it together, and I took it straight over to the park to just feel it out. And within
which park did you go to?
To Lacamas Lake.
Okay.
And it was wet and nasty out.
Okay, well,
and within 3 miles, boom, I crashed.
Oh no!
And bent the hanger and bruised my ribs.
No.
Yeah, the first 3 miles on the bike because it didn't really have mud tires on it. It was muddy. I shouldn't have been riding in the park.
So wait,
anyway.
you need that new hangerless rear
the
derailleur.
Eagle transmission. Yeah, Jake's going to order that today for me.
Yeah, you need it, man.
I'm kidding. I need it. There's no question anymore. So I crashed it. My ribs are kind of bent. They've been sore all week because I didn't.
Same ribs that you broke?
No, other side.
Other side, good for you.
Oh man,
I didn't break one. I can tell I didn't break one, but
just sore. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they were sore. But so I still went out the next day. I didn't crash during the race at all, which is
good for
great.
you.
I shoulder checked a tree, but that's normal. But
the bike held up okay.
bike did fantastic.
You have dropper posts on.
Yep, dropper post, and yeah, it's smooth and fast and light, and I was super happy with it.
Pretty bike.
Yeah,
Cool.
It
Rest of the week we're good.
was a pretty bike.
Yeah.
Did you get it muddied up a little bit?
I spent longer cleaning the bike than I did racing.
Yeah. I believe you.
Because I wanted it to be pristine.
And derailleur hanger 2.0 held up just fine, right?
Just fine.
Just fine. Good.
Yep. No worries on the derailleur hanger. Yeah, the rest of the week. I still been riding every day. I'm still doing like 16 hours a week.
Hey, Matt, can you reach over and take Lance's temperature real quick?
Yeah, got it.
Don't put your finger up his butt.
Yeah, that's the only way to know for sure.
Have you seen how much this guy's riding on Zwift?
Just putting in the miles.
It's freaking raining outside everywhere. I have been riding on Zwift.
Putting in the miles.
And he's doing it in the morning too. Like I feel like I wake up, go start doing stuff. I'm like, it'd be nice to get my ride done in the morning. And then like it's like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, I get a notification. Lance Hepler just rode 50 miles on Zwift. I'm like, way to make me feel bad about myself, Lance.
You know, it's funny. I got on Zwift, and I if I'm not doing a subscribed workout, I just ride with one of the pace partners.
Yeah.
And I get on, and boom, there's our teammate Dustin.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So him and I are texting the whole time while we're riding in this group. And then the very next day, at a different time of the day, I get on, boom, there's Dustin with the same. We rode like together 2 days in a row. So
That's fun.
It was kind of cool.
Good on you, dude. It's all coming together. You're
I'm
2
trying.
for 2 in the wind departments.
So far.
Giddy up.
It's gonna be a good season.
I don't want to
Jinx it.
I don't want to jinx it, but yeah, it's a good start. So I'm racing again today, this afternoon, and tomorrow. Bone Crusher is a mountain bike race out in Madras. It's not part of the series that we've started, but it's kind of a standalone race. And Court Johnson will be there in my category. So
You just going by yourself out there?
Yeah,
So it's kind of a quick trip. You're going to be back on Saturday or what?
I'll be back on Saturday.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Sweet.
Rip it.
I rode outside on a bike for all of 20 minutes last week. 20
That's
whopping minutes.
Interesting. Well, you go on these 20-minute rides.
Wait,
Well-
was this like beach cruiser with
Yes.
the family?
It was a family ride.
Yeah,
Well-
in Mexico.
So yeah, we were in Mexico, and they've got this. It's like an all-inclusive resort, and they've got all these amenities that you can sign up for and do. And one of the things was you can sign up for this bike tour. I'm like, oh yeah, let's do that.
tour.
And we went to go sign up, and it was booked. Went to go sign up the next day, it was booked again. And like you can't sign up like 3 or 4 days in advance. You have to be there when they open up the booth to do the registrations at 9 o'clock in the morning, and you can register for that day, which is already booked from the prior day or the following day. So finally we go up there and it's booked again. I'm like, and they're like, well, you can just go check out the bikes and you can go do the ride by yourself. I'm like, well, God, why didn't you tell me that in the very beginning?
I don't need a tour
And
guide.
it's like almost the last day, and I'm like, I could have been doing this whole thing. So anyway, fast forward to this ride. I get the whole family rallied, and like my son loves to ride. My youngest, she'll ride. My wife, she'll ride as well. Like, and she rides on the indoor trainer quite often, a couple times a week. She's been doing these FTP builder programs, and so yeah, we'll go do that. And my oldest daughter's like, do I have to? I don't want to. I hate bikes. And I'm like, whose daughter are you? Anyway, so everybody's like, all right, we're going to go. We're going to do this for dad. Right. This is like the only thing that I wanted everybody to do together for the whole week. And so we get on our, make our way over to the bike rental place. And it's not even a rental place. You just go check it out. And I roll up and I'm like, all right, they're all single speed bikes. I'm like, all right, that's fine. We can still do that. And then they're all beat up Huffies. I'm like, oh no. And like they're like, you can see wheels are out of true. And they've all got chain slack on them. And I'm like,
right.
and they've got like big ugly baskets on the front. I'm like, it's all right. It's still going to work. They got all the different sizes. And like they go to put my youngest daughter on a bike, and the nose is down by like 3 inches. And then my son's bike, his nose is up by like 2 inches. And I'm like, hey, you got a wrench? I got to fix these things. And the guy's like, knob and glass, whatever. I'm like, I'm like showing him, okay. And he hands me things. So I'm like fixing all their bikes and setting all the saddle heights. And they're trying to set my kids up on the bikes. Like either like they can't touch the pedals or their knees are so squatted, they're hitting themselves in the chest. So I'm getting my whole family dialed in, and like, all right, it's not the best bike, but it's still going to be fun. So we get out there and we're doing our little ride, and they're like, all right, here's the bike path. And I'm like, it looks like it's a really long adventure that we're going to go on. I'm like, guys, this be good. We'll be going for like an hour and a half ride kind of thing. And like, oh yeah, it's like 1 kilometer to the turnaround spot. I'm like, what?
Oh, wow.
1 kilometer.
0.66 miles or 63 miles. I'm like, seriously? But
Let me ask you this. Did you have a bike computer that you brought with you?
no, but
Just your watch.
I did Strava it.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Just use your watch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we rode out there, and I had to. There was another family that was riding. This gentleman's got his son, because they did have a couple bikes with a kid carrier on there. I'm like, I wouldn't put my kid in that, but anyway, he's riding, and like the chain fell off, and these are coaster brake bikes.
Oh.
And the little trails
chain
kind of
fell
rolled
off.
a little bit. Your chain falls off. There's no stopping. So he does the whole Fred Flintstone thing to get the bike stopped. He's
Oh, no.
he's like, oh no, my chain fell off. I don't know what they're doing. I'm like, hey, I got you, bud. And so I pulled over, and
Did you
I
have tools? Because usually you actually need to move the wheel a little bit, right?
you do. And I think that he just hit some bumpy stuff and pedaled in the wrong
yeah,
sync. And the chains all need to be tensioned on every single bike.
Oh, absolutely.
And I put the chain back on for him and got him rolling again. I'm like, yeah, just try and stay away from the bumpy stuff. And I showed him how to put it back on, because he had no idea. And it's really not rocket science. But, we did that. And so we get out to the ruins, and we looked at the ruins, and like, cue the wah, wah, wah. And I wanted to,
underwhelming.
there's some really cool, I think Mayan, like temple pyramid kind of things that you can go see. And I wanted to go do this, but we found out that the bus ride to get out there was 2.5 to 3 hours, depending
Is it
upon
Tulum?
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Depending upon traffic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, my kids are not going to want to sit in a bus for
Right.
5 to 6 hours to
Yep.
go see things.
That's fair.
I'm like, all right, well, I guess we'll skip on that. But they're like, oh yeah, we've got like Mayan ruins that are close by. You can ride the bikes to it. I'm like, oh, this would be fantastic. We get out there, and it's like, I'm like, really?
It's like a hole
Did
in
you
the
guys
ground.
go like stack some rocks up over here and try and make it look like somebody lived there like a long time ago? But I don't know. It was what it was. So we get out there, we turn around, and then family's going, my chain falls off. And it fell off because I had a little 360 camera with me. I'm like, you guys go, I'll catch up in just a minute. And I wanted to put it away because I was getting some video of us riding out there, because I wanted to be able to, show this awesome bike ride that we're going to go on that ended up not being really much to even video on the way back. So I'm putting it away. And so I'm like, I'll let them get a head start. I'm going to go put this bike to the test. I'm going to at least, put some watts into it. I may or may not have bit the chain ring. Getting out of the saddle on the bike, which ultimately ended up causing the chain to keep falling down into the rear cog in the back, and it fell off like 3 times going back. I'm like, this is such a waste.
No.
But I got back, and I'm like, hey, thank you so much for letting us ride the bikes. Can I make a little suggestion? I'm like, you might want to tension the chains. He's like, he's picking up, he's pedaling. He's like, oh no, they're good. I'm like, all right, you're good. All right, thank you, man. Appreciate it. So,
Forget it.
no, it was what it was. But that was the highlight of my week. Granted, I did ride the exercise bike for a couple hours. It was an hour each time, and then I hit the weights too. Kind of did some weight
good.
training stuff, which was kind of nice. But I rode that bike inside, and I don't know if you guys have ever been to like the Cancun, the Mexican Caribbean oceans, and
I have not.
all the, oh my god, it's beautiful, but it is hot and it's humid.
Yes.
turns
Yeah.
out, and the air conditioning works for most parts, but this gym,
Oh.
they didn't have the
Hot
air conditioner
workout.
turned all the way down. So I was in there riding on this bike after doing a couple different, leg exercise workouts, whatnot. I actually did some really good workouts and felt good about it. But riding on that bike, like I used to think that I got sweaty riding the kicker bike indoors. Oh, it doesn't even hold a cat, dude. It was like there was
Drenched.
Jake Lake
Jake Lake.
underneath this bike, and the whole bike was like drip, 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 and my shirt was just like suctioned cup to me. Like,
Yeah.
like when I got back to my hotel room, like I didn't even dry off at all because it's so humid outside and it's hot. So you just like, I just walked into the shower and just took a shower with all my clothes on just to get it all like kind of rinsed up. But I was like literally just dripping all the way back. I'm like, if somebody wanted to find out where the guy at the gym was, they could just follow the drip marks all the way back.
How was the trip overall?
It was good. It was the family time was excellent. That was 5 out of 5. The resort,
It's okay. You wouldn't go back.
it was okay.
It's not your.
I was.
Wouldn't be your first
It
choice
was
to go
good,
back.
but it wasn't great. Exactly. I would probably go try a different. I would maybe try a different place in Mexico. I wouldn't go back to this particular resort. I mean, it was The food was just okay. My kids and I were like trying to be like little critics of the whole thing the whole time. And, the experience was fun. Got to go do some fun things. Like they did have a bunch of fun things for the kids to do. And it was all you can eat food. It was all you could drink, like adult beverages even. And I did have one day where my wife and I had some margaritas, which was good. And we had a glass or two of wine with dinner that night. And that was the only time I drank there. So I did really good on that front. Good. But even the drinks, like, it's just like low grade, like they just didn't taste good. So it didn't make you want to have another one. So I'm like, well, that's probably a good thing. But I did have my fair share because, when you go to Mexico, what are you always told not to do?
Drink the water.
Oh yeah. Drink plenty of the water. Exactly. Don't drink the water. So I had too many Mexican Cokes while I was down there. Those were fantastic. I don't know if you guys know the difference between a Coke here in the United States and the Coke that you get down to Mexico, but they don't make it with artificial sweeteners down there. They use like real cane sugar down there.
Cane sugar versus corn syrup.
Yep. And they taste significantly different and they taste significantly better. And I don't know if you guys know this, but if you go to Costco here, even where we live in Camas, they have Mexican Cokes. And it says Mexican Cokes on there that you can buy. It's a case of them in the tall bottle, the Coca-Cola bottle. Yeah. And it's like, was it 24 Cokes for like $36 or something like that? I don't know. It's just kind of cool. So I had those, and like everywhere you go, there's like a soft serve ice cream machine for whatever reason. So we were having that, and I was always trying to stay away from the water and all that stuff. Granted, they do have a lot of filtered water. Like you walk into your bedroom and they've got this like closet that's got like a coffee maker in there, and they've got a full stocked refrigerator. So you've got like all of the sparkling waters. There's Cokes in there and Sprites, and they've got beer in there. Didn't even touch that. But long story short, there's a big thing of a 5-gallon jug of water in there that you could constantly be drinking your water out of, filling up your canteens. And so did a really good job of avoiding drinking all of the waters, and everything. The water that they had on the resort was filtered, which was good. And still managed to get a touch of the old.
It's still something.
Still got me. So.
They wash the lettuce with their water.
Oh, yeah.
And they make their ice cubes out of the water.
Now, you go swimming, and it's just things happen.
The 100% highlight of the trip, though, aside from my bicycle adventure, was this. It was kind of like their version of like a Disneyland down there almost, but it was like it's called Explore, the one park that we went to, and it was massive. But it had zip lines, it had water slides, it had like they called them their amphibious carts that you could drive around.
I bet your kids had a blast.
Oh, it was awesome. Like they're not on rails, and like you're flying. And I got yelled at by the the little guy working there. You're going too fast. Slow down. Like I was like trying to get the thing sideways and whatnot with my kids in the car. And they're all yelling and screaming, having fun. And then they've got these like underwater caverns. So the stalagmites that come down, and they've got like hikes that you can go do through water that's up to your waist, and sometimes you actually even have to swim through it. Then they've got parts that you go into that they make you wear a life vest, and you're actually swimming through these caverns, which was incredible.
So you kind of swim, biked, and run while you were in
Wait,
Mexico.
did you get any rocks? Did you see
triathlon?
Did you see any cool rocks in the caves?
Rock hunting.
I want to know about the rocks.
It was dark in there, it turns out. And I actually did think of you, and I was looking for some rocks, but I couldn't find any. They had some that they had polished, but I'm like, I don't know if those were from here. And they're like chiseling them into like little hearts and stuff like that. I'm like, nah. But that was pretty awesome. We had cool. Did I say zip lines?
Yeah.
So the zip lines, there was like 15 of them, and they have the highest zip line. I guess zip line is big in Mexico, like the whole country, and they have the highest tower that you would climb up. And there was some pretty cool zip lines, and sometimes there was like almost every one of them was. There's 2 of them were side by side, and somewhere there's 3, and then like you get to race people, and you're doing different things, and it was just a fun. And they had zip lines where you're finishing going into the water. Like that's what stops you. And then you have to like turn around and you have to paddle your way for, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 yards or whatnot to get to the point where you get out of the water. That was pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool.
So, and you wear you can wear water shoes, but I just wore a pair of tennis shoes, which actually I think ended up working out better, because when we were doing these hikes and you can't really see the ground and there's rocks down there, like people are like stubbing their toe, and I'm like just trucking over all of it. It was awesome. But it got some really cool video of all that stuff, and I want to put together a little family video for us. So,
love it.
Yeah, that was fun. So other than that, it was a good week. I do desperately need to get back into shape, because I think all the fitness that I had gained over the last like several months is gone.
You're not going to lose it in 7 days. You were only gone for like 6 or something.
I don't know, dude. I was living off of
You'll be fine.
Yeah. Is what it is. Cool. All right, let's do one last thing. Matt LeGrand.
I posted a video right before coming to this podcast. It's about the Amazfit Falcon. It's their top of the line watch. If you guys want to check that out.
Sweet.
It's basically a competitor to something like the Garmin Epix, which is what both of you guys have on at the moment. So it's
what do they cost?
$500.
Oh, really? It's like half the price.
Yeah, exactly. Half price of the Epix. It's got AMOLED screen. It's got titanium watch body, multi-band GPS. It's very similar to something like a Phoenix or an Epix, and it's just not quite as good.
Quite as polished, huh?
Exactly. Yeah. There are issues. If you want to know what the issues are, check out the video.
200 views in less than an hour.
And I think that I'm hoping to have a video on Tuesday that we should definitely watch. It should be fun. There should be some new product announcements on Tuesday. So
there absolutely will be.
We hope.
Cool. Lance Hepler.
You're racing.
I'm racing today and tomorrow. Short track race today and XCO race tomorrow. Mountain bike race tomorrow.
How many races are you scheduled for coming up?
All of them.
I don't think I should answer that.
Well, actually, let me just recase that question. Which one are you looking forward to the most?
Oregon Trail gravel grinder.
Really?
So that's
the stage race?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna do it this year. Yeah, and it's 5-day stage race, so I'm really looking forward to that. So other than it being like 4 weeks before my daughter's wedding, and I'm making my wife come with me to drive the van, so it's kind of in crunch time.
Yep.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to that. I did not expect to be doing this well on the mountain bike races this early, and so now that I've won the first 2 races in
Pressure's
my
on.
division, now I want to do well in the whole series.
Sure.
And so I had to change my schedule a little bit to add a couple races that I wasn't going to do.
So this is going to be like your tour of the Basque Country down here to go just get some race legs underneath you?
Correct.
Yeah?
Yeah. Just go and keep the practice intent. You can't, it's hard to simulate the intensity and
Correct.
race speed.
Yeah.
Like mountain bike race speed is different than cruising on your mountain bike.
Oh, yeah.
So
plus you're trying to learn all the nuances of a new bike.
new bike,
Yep.
different tires.
Yep.
I'm trying to figure that out. So
Cool.
we'll see how it goes.
My one last thing is I have no races on the calendar. That's not a good thing. I need to find something. I need to get my fitness back. And I do know that there are some races coming up. One that has me the most intrigued, that I think I would have the most fun at if I can get my fitness back, because I think it would actually play well into my abilities, would be the Banana Belt race put on by Team Oregon.
That'd be cool.
I'm really, I want that race to go extremely well for them. I want there to be good representation from our team and all of the other teams out there. And I want that to be something that they can keep on the schedule for years to come, because we are starving for bike racing on the road scene. And it'd be nice to see a few more things pop back up. And there's a lot of good races that we've had in the past that have gone away. And this is another race that we used to have way back in the day that disappeared, and they've revived and brought back. So we'd love to see that hang on.
Yes.
So consider doing that. It's the 3rd week of April, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
And we'll be out there as a team trying to represent and do as much as we possibly can. And I'm hoping that I can get some fitness to go do that. And
Where can you find some fitness? Any flogging rides coming up?
there was one last night on RGT because the
RGT.
wetter.
Yep.
Yeah,
It was really rainy last night.
Lance was he was a trooper. Like Lance and I just kind of like help each other out. Like when Lance got to go to Europe and Hawaii and he's flying out the crazy times, I'll take him. And he picked me up last night at
1 a.m.
Exactly. My flight was late getting in last night too. That was insult to injury. But he picked me up and like we get in the van and it's just absolutely pouring. I'm
It
like,
was pouring last night.
like, yeah, it sounds like a good night for a flogging ride. But yeah, the flogging ride will be back this coming week, and we'll go out there and get some intensity, and that'll be a good way to get some race legs back underneath you if you're interested.
Cool.
Cool.
April 30th.
Sweet.
Yep.
All right. Anything else, boys? Nope. Take that as big no's.
Nope.
They're shaking their heads no because you guys can all hear that just great. All right. We'll be back with another one of these next week. And until then, bye for now.